Welcome to Natural Born Talents. Today's subject is the Magenta aura, one of the wackiest, wildest auras of all the auras. Now, the Magenta aura is of the physical group, the primary environmental physical group. As you can see here in the chart, the other two being the orange and the red. While the orange wants to challenge and conquer the physical environment, and the red wants to work in it with a hands-on approach, the magenta, on the other hand, wants to take the physical environment and turn it into something like a Disneyland, a fantasy world. To spot a magenta is not hard. They are the ones that are always telling jokes, saying things that few other people could say. They seem to understand fashion for what it is, mindless fun. So you always will find the magenta doing something in the world of being creative, whether it is design, dancing, anything that is in the three-dimensional world, creating something new, wild, and trendy. Magentas are very intelligent, but they do not like to study things that have lots of details that seem to waste their time. They will study something if it is within their interest, but if it's not, they tend to ignore it entirely. And if something new comes along, they may give up a project halfway through just to jump on the new project. This can cause them to lose confidence within themselves. So it's always a good idea for the magenta to complete a project before moving on to something else. While magentas love to be sociable and the center of a party, they do have a downtime where they spend lots of time by themselves. And this is something they don't necessarily like. But because they have such a wild and impulsive and random lifestyle, it is difficult for other people to keep up with them. Therefore, they usually engage only in relationships with people who understand their need for freedom. Magentas have a very hard time deciding between entrapment and freedom within a relationship. And the main reason for this is because they like to explore. They like to try new things. Relationships to them are just like experiences. It's hard for them to make long-term commitments. If their partner is willing to hold them loosely within the relationship and is not over-controlling, as well as intelligent enough to keep up with the pace of a magenta, then the relationship can last for some time. But that's usually not the case. There's only a few auras, perhaps the green for example, that could actually do that. Because the magenta is a physical aura, it does like to try new and trendy sports. While they can do team sports, they do prefer individual sports because they can show off their skills or show off the fashion that goes with those sports. This aura often is perceived by the more serious auras as being narcissistic or self-centered, when in reality that's not the case. They're more interested in just pursuing the wild and crazy ideas that they see in their minds. They see the people who are more interested in conformity as a form of insanity. They like to have the freedom to explore anything that they want, willing to take the consequences of those actions later. For many, this would seem as though the magenta is the cause of the narcissistic movement we see in today's society. Nothing could be farther from the truth.
Oh my god!
Magentas do like to be the center of attention when they're creating some new fashion or some new trend. However, this isn't for the pursuit of being narcissistic as it is because they simply see it in their mind's eye as something fun and wacky to do. Magentas are not destroyers, they are creators. The narcissistic movement we see in today's society is very destructive. It's more about virtue signaling than anything else. While as the magenta just wants to say, hey, look what I did, isn't this fun, isn't this crazy? Sure, they like the attention, but they also like to continue to explore, to create, to point out things that are totally insane when they get too orderly, too constrictive, too too rigid in lifestyle. A perfect example of this personality type would probably be Eddie Murphy. Many Magentas do become comedians because they can see the insanity that we all seem to follow and question it with the most outrageous humor you could find. Well, that's a quick way of spotting a Magenta. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments section below. And thank you for listening.